All right. You're going to get started now. Since people are not around yet, I tagged everyone on the group. They're not around yet, so I'm just going to get started, right? And at the end of tomorrow, for people who have not been consistent in class, I'll be removing them from the group. I don't know, they've just been there for being their sake, and we can't keep having that essentially. And yeah, so start informing your big sisters and big brothers and you people that you have that are older than you. You're going to have something like this for adults starting the month after you're done, right? We'll have something like this for adults. And essentially, sorry, excuse me. And essentially, you're going to have your time too. Right. So thank you so much once again for being in class, Covenant. Thank you for being consistent. Covenant, you don't need to join that group. I'm just calling the group to alert everyone to join the call. So can I still confirm that everybody can hear me, please?
Yes, ma, we can hear you, ma. We can hear you, ma.
All right. Amazing. So we are going to be continuing from where we stopped last week, right? We learned about a couple of things. Oh, sorry. And today we are going a bit advanced, right? So what I'm teaching you for free, I'll tell you over and over again, is something that on normal terms, if the organization wanted to take money for this, we would take nothing less than 100 for both of the courses that you're getting for free. So which means for people that have been playing with the class, next time they are going to come into the organization to come and learn, they would have to pay nothing less than 100,000 to learn it because Power BI costs 70,000 naira, Excel costs 30,000 naira, and in fact, Excel can be more than that a lot of times. It's just our discounted price, and it might increase because things are increasing every single day, essentially. So please, that's why we've been hammering on the word. Take this class very serious. You don't know how much it's going to cost you later in the future when it comes to the time to learn about it, right? So I just needed to establish that point and let's get this class started. All right, so last week, Covenant, I think you must have seen your score already. Can I confirm that from the last class work that we did?
Yes, ma.
All right, amazing.
I've
All
seen it,
right,
ma.
okay, that's very good. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that you've seen your score. Yeah, I just needed to confirm that you've seen your score. All right, and I received an assignment. You said you were not able to use that tool that I recommended. Why not?
It did not display pivot table there.
What did you say?
Just everything there. I can't find pivot. I can't find pivot table on it.
For
Office suit. Office suit.
okay, so that's the problem. So for most of those tools on phone, they might not really have the extensive tool, which is why we also advised partly that if you want to access the course fully, you need to have like a laptop, right? So that it doesn't become an hindrance for you. So you might not be able to see all these things there, pivot tables and the rest. Just bringing them on Android phones, but sometimes you may not really have it accessible. And I cannot recommend Microsoft Office because if you download Microsoft Office, you'll be needing a subscription to actually enter. But all right, that's by the way. Mm. All right, I'm trying to get Office Suite. I want to see if I can find a way around it. Did you try WPS after Office Suite?
WPS. I also tried it.
You didn't see pivot tables there.
Yes, ma.
Okay, let me see. Mm, just give me a minute. Mm, are you sure you can find pivot table on this thing? There's pivot tables on the BPS. I'm currently using the BPS.
Yeah, I just checked it now. I saw pivot table there.
What did
On
you say?
I just checked WPS. I saw pivot table.
Exactly. So that means you didn't do your homework very well.
I'll
Covenant.
try.
You have to go back and go and do this homework.
I'll do it.
Exactly. So there's pivot table. I was confused when you said there's no pivot table on WPS, and I know WPS is. I recommended you to use Light APK. So Light APK is supposed to give you the premium version for free, and that was why I recommended it to in the first place. Right. So please, I'm also trying to check Mobi Office to see if there's no pivot tables. I'm trying to give you something as similar to Excel as possible. Okay, so last week we were trying to access the sales data, right? So we are going to continue with it this week as well. And yeah, let's just see if this is it. Um, all right, I've seen it. Yeah, so this is the second to last class I will be having for Excel, right? Essentially, it's our second to the last class. So last week we started visualizations with pivot tables, and we are going to be continuing visualizations today, right? So just very shortly before we enter into using advanced functions and power queries inside of Excel. So please let me know as soon as you can see my screen. Please let me know. All right, please can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma.
Yes,
Can ma.
All right, that's good. Covenant, you can see my screen too, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, amazing.
That's
So,
it, ma'am.
all right, amazing. All right, so back to where we stopped last week. Back to where we are, or where we were last week. So essentially, we've talked about creating pivot tables, right? We already know what it means to create pivot tables. and how to create pivot table. So I won't be going back. The video is already on our YouTube channel, and I've sent the link. So I won't be going over what I went over last week, essentially. So here is the thing, right? We have different types of charts inside of Excel. And the funny thing or the beautiful thing is if you get how to create charts now, when it comes to using Power BI for visualization and data analysis, it will be very, very, very easy for you, essentially, to create charts, to use Power Query now. And of Excel is very similar to Power Query inside of. So when you know these foundations inside of Excel, they add for you inside of Power BI, right? You have different types, right? I mean, always be plotting some of these charts. So based on bar charts, what so just like you can see here, they are used to compare category. Let's say you have categorical data, use category what we're using last. I can decide, okay, I want to check which categories of right the total product has made. So what happens, right? I click on total sales. After clicking on both of them, what do I do
You
next? I
can't
just go
see
to
your
in and after clicking on it, start. Remember that we said it's bar chart that we use in computing. What did you say? Hello?
screen was not showing earlier.
Okay, but you can see it now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So when it comes to what we do is do what first we select the column names, right? So we are trying to get how much sales each of the categories of products that we have inside of our sales table, how much of the category is sold. So but we are continuing from last week, so that same day. So go to our bar chart. This chart or area is plotting pie chart. This is tree map. This is a scatter you for this actually chart that is different types that come together. Maps that have data about place. When you have different data locations, then this is what we look for a pivot chart. Right? These are pivot charts. All these that we prepared major this week are what essentially instead. Now to ask about charts, what do we do? So we look at it and we said of how much sales. So how we are going to have this cluster bar chart. Since we are in one category, it won't really be clustered around each other. So we do bar. Immediately we pick it, you will notice, oh, so this looks like, so I'm going to bring that. Right? What I do is select the chart. But if you're using your phone, you may not be able to control X, right? What do?
I
You
can't
right
see your
click on that chart, and you so your chart as much as possible. Oh, let me reshare again. I think it's you can see it now, right?
yes, ma'am.
Sorry, what did you say?
I can see it now.
All right. So essentially, what do I do? So that chart, right? This is the chart. After I create the chart, this is it. So essentially, what do I do next? Right? I click on it, do Control X on that chart. If I'm on my laptop, but if I'm on my phone, you can always select on the chart and click on it, and then I'll be able to cut it. I always advise as the best practice when you are doing visualization inside of Excel, always have an extra sheet. Put all your visualizations inside of one sheet, right? So this is my visualization. So I will rename the title total sales of each of the products. So judging by this, you can already see, oh, this one made like the total sales, right? This one made the highest total sales. This line, okay, this is it. It's point accessories, right, for this category, and that's actually how to use a bar chart. Then another thing I always advise is that before you insert, right, once you have selected your columns, look under the recommended chart. When you look under the recommended charts, you'll be able to see the different charts that are applicable to those two columns that you picked up. So for example, a clustered column chart is applicable, which is also a column chart is simply more also like a bar chart, right? They are very similar to each other. Another one they can have is this one that we add. So this is just the inverted version of the one that we just finished doing, right? And then this one is the one that sets the goals to see, okay, how each and every one of them are, right? Then you can see it's called a Pareto chart. And this is what it does. It plots the distribution of data in descending order of frequency with a cumulative line on the blah 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 blah. So it just goes in descending order, and then you have an histogram. This is what an histogram looks like. But we don't want to use an histogram. We are focusing on using a bar chart as much as possible. And this is a sample bar chart, right? And this is also a sample clustered, we call this clustered bar chart, but we call this a simple bar chart. So we have used clustered bar chart. Let's use a simple bar chart. So we are going to do okay, and we are going to select it, right? So immediately you select a bar chart, of course, because it has this thing attached to it, right? It has to prepare a quick pivot table. That's it. Can you see how simple it is? When you use recommended chart, sometimes you may not really need to do all the work that you're thinking that you need to do, right? It will prepare all the necessary things for you. So what do I just do? I come back to come and add it here, right? And if I don't want to use this anymore, I can discard it. So we'll be building a dashboard using these examples. So I want you to also see what I'm going to do here as well, because it's going to be a dashboard. I'm going to be picking these two lines, right, till I reach S, because that's how far we want to go. We want to make sure that we are staying within the windows of what we can see, right? I'm going to pick these two lines. I'm going to combine them together into one. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on this place. I'm going to merge and center. So once I do a merge and center, what do I have to do next? I want to switch off all these grid lines such that there's no line. All these things are what we call grid lines. You can see those spaces, those columns, those rows that are separating them, right? So what do we do to switch off those grid lines? We go to view. Once we click on views, we'll be able to see, oh, these are the different things. Now, what are we targeting is the grid lines. We don't want to see it anymore. So what do? We click on it to switch it off, right? Immediately we click on it, you will notice that the grid lines are gone. You can't see them anymore. They are still there, but it's erased them because you are trying to create what? We are trying to create a dashboard essentially, and we can't afford to be seeing grid lines inside of the dashboards that we are creating. So what do I also do? I need to prepare this line, right? I need to write my title. What do? I type in between a sales dashboard. I'm going to actually do something. I'm going to increase it because it's a dashboard title. I'm going to have something around 26. I'm going to use a 30, right? I'm going to say a sales dashboard, a sales dashboard. And what do I do next? I select all of it and I actually do what? I can make it have a color, right? I can make it have another color, any other color. But right now, I'm going to make my background color, right? I'm going to make it a bit of bluish color, something around this. Um, yeah. So I'm going to make my background color. I'm going to make it dark blue, right? You can see what I clicked. I clicked outside of that text. I clicked back into those two rows that matched and centered before. I clicked on it and then came to this place, right? It's called the fill color. So I'm going to fill it with a bit of light blue, right? After filling with light blue, what do? I click on this and make it color white. Note where I'm clicking. It's not fill color that I'm clicking on next. I'm clicking on this place. This controls the colors for the text. I'm going to make it color white, right? And then you can do different types of things. You can actually design the way your text is looking like. There are options to actually do that as much as possible. Excel has a lot of functionalities. So if I want to actually make this nicer to look very good, Kolapo, please answer this boy that is saying he needs the link to the class. He can see the link in class, so please answer him. Please, if you can hear me, Kolapo, please kindly answer him. All right, so there are different things that you can do to your text, right? There are different things that you can use. So if after you have typed your text, you want a different kind of text formatting, right? So I will show you how to do a text formatting. So let's say, for example, you want to use a text formatting. You can use different word arts, right? If you want it to be looking like this, if you want your text to look like this, you can already see it, right?
Okay, ma, I can hear you, ma. We'll
All
do
right,
that.
thank you. Thank you. So I can pick this up and do a sales dashboard, right? Once I do a sales dashboard, what do I do? If I want to change the color as well, there are different options for me to actually change the color. So you can actually see currently, I can decide to have an outline. So an outline is the border that is surrounding it, right? An outline is the border that is surrounding it. Then if I want to change the colors, I can use this to change the theme styles, right? I can change it to, oh, have a bolder style. I can change this, oh, have this background color. So those are the ways that you can design your dashboard, but I don't want to go into functionality of designing. Then these are also ways that you can also control the different presets of each and every one of your colors and your background colors and stuff around that, right? So that's just a quick lesson on designing. So I'm going to delete this and we're just going to leave it simply because we are considering visualization. So successfully, we've been able to do what? We've been able to use a bar chart, right? This is total sum of sales by category. And yeah, you can always subset down here. Or if you don't want to see all of them, you can decide, okay, I want to see only audio and electronics. And what do? I click on OK. After that, you can see that everything else has cleaned. I'm only seeing audio and electronics. So if you want to have everything back, you just click on clear filter from category and you have everything else back essentially. So I don't know if you're getting me and if I can proceed.
Yes, sir.
All right, amazing. So sorry, just a minute. Siri, not you. All right. So essentially, we have line chart as well, right? So let's say we want to show trends over time, the monthly sales over time, right? So we also have the trend line or the we call it line chart as well, right? You can already see the name. Line chart is majorly used to show trends over time. So if you want to have line charts over, remember we are saying, okay, we want to see monthly trend, Abby. Now, what do we do of the total sales? We're going to click the date and we're also going to click total sales, right? Because remember, I want to see the sales over time. That's what we are trying to achieve. So when we click on those, the fastest way to go about it, just click on recommended chart. You can see immediately I clicked on recommended chart. What did it show? A line chart. So I'm going to do okay as well. And you can already see it has plotted it out for me. So what do? I do a control X on it and take it to where I'm plotting my dashboard, right? I'll take it to where I'm plotting my dashboard at. So I'll post it here. And you can see looking nice. So total sales, I will say trend in sales over time. So you can just click down on it, the title, and change it. Trend in sales over time. All right, you can already see it's trending sales over time. So because I have 2024 data, so now I want to ask a quick question for us to actually see how to interpret this chart. What, when was the time that the highest sales was made, essentially? According to this data, when was the time that the highest sales was made?
Um, 2/12, 2024.
Exactly. 2/12/2024, which means February 12, 2024. So we can't do a monthly trend of this data because it only contains 2024 data. So if you're doing a monthly trend, and it's mostly January to February. So if you're doing a monthly trend, it will only just contain January to February. But this is how we can check the trend in sales over time, right? I'm going to change this color to reflect the color scheme that is being used here. So I'm going to change my fill color to this so that they will look alike, right? So essentially, now we have seen trend in sales over time. That's a line chart. Next, let's see another kind of chart that we can use is a pie chart. We want to see the market share. We want to display proportions. So that's what pie charts are used for. When you want to see how much proportion of this thing makes the total thing, right? How much proportion of it makes up the total thing, essentially, right? So let's say we want to, let's look at our data again. Let's say, okay, we have different products. Now we want to see how much proportion of the region makes the total sales, right? How much proportion of the region made those sales essentially, right? So we can have different kind of charts, right? We go to insert again, click on recommended chart. Immediately you see recommended charts, right? You will see different recommended charts, but you will not see a pie chart there. The reason why you will not see a pie chart there is because I already clicked on total sales. But if you want to check proportions, most likely, right? You can see immediately I clicked on this. I want to see the proportion of my market that is west, that is in the west region. I want to see the proportion of my market that is in the east region. I want to see which proportion of my market is in the south region. And I want to see which proportion of my market is in the north region. So I clicked on region. What do I do next? I click on chart. Sorry, recommended chart. Always do recommended chart if you don't know what to do, right? So when you click on recommended chart, you will immediately see that it's showing you a pie chart, right? So it has shown you a pie chart essentially. So you are seeing the count of regions that are making everything up essentially. So even if I want to say I want to include total sales, right? I can include total sales, right? So I can include total sales, and you can see count of region, total sales. So when I click on each and every one of them, you will see a proportion. Oh, these ones are 37. Now I can decide that okay, for this my chart, right? I want to change the fields that are there. So what do? I click on this count of region, right? Because I want to check the amount, the region that are making the total sales over time, right? So remember that I started here from using region.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know you stopped hearing me for a while, yeah. So I've switched up my internet. So I didn't see anything immediately you stopped hearing me, but I'm continuing here. So remember from where we started, we just selected region and clicked on recommended charts. Then we clicked on pie charts. After we clicked on pie charts, what did we do? It brought us to this table, right? For pie charts, it has done an automatic pivot table for us. That's why it's always good to use recommended charts. Start from recommended chart first, and then when you start advancing, you can now start using charts independently by yourself. So what do I do next? Remember, we will just want to see the total sales per region. Which region is making the most sales, right? So I'm going to click on this count of region. I'm going to remove the field. Immediately I remove the field, you can already see that it's gone, right? So what I'm currently seeing is the region and their total sales. So I will say region by sales. I will rename this. I will carry this one. So let me put it to its normal position. I'll carry this one. I'll control X it. I'll remove it. I'm going to place it on the sheet when we are doing our visualization art. So I can decide that, okay, I want to place it here essentially, right? So when I place it there, I can reduce this chart. So your charts are reducible. If they don't need to take up a huge amount of space, make sure they are not taking a huge amount of space. So I can drag my chart around too. I'll drag this one here as well and drag it here, right? And have it like this. I'll pick this one up as well, drag it here. Then I will also reduce it because it does not need total amount of space that is taking up. So I'll drag it here as well. And if you view my chart, you can already see. So this count of total region, right? You can edit different things inside of your table. So what do I do if I want to edit the chart title? You can already see. I just click down into it. Then I will say total region by sales. That's what I'm going to call it. Region by sales. So basically, just looking at it, you can already see the interpretation of each and every one of them. Right. You can see the blue region is the west. It means that the west region is making the most sales. Then followed by which region? The green region, which is actually which one is it? Is the south in this scenario. Yeah, you get what we are saying, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. So that's what a pie chart looks like. Now let's look at another type of chart, right? So it's a scatter chart. What do we use scatter chart to do? A scatter chart is used to show relationships between variables. And I'm going to be showing an example, right? If you want to say, okay, what is the relationship between the sales and the unit price, right? Or where's our, okay, this is our sales data. I'm going to be naming each and every one of these. Don't delete these tables as much as possible. If you delete them, they are the ones controlling your pie charts or your charts here. If you delete these two are pivot charts, so if you are deleting your tables, you will no longer see your chart. So I'll make sure I'm naming this category category by sales pivot table, right? Category by sales pivot table. I'll do the same thing to this. Remember, this is the one that is controlling our region by sales, which is our pie chart. So region by sales. Make sure that you are not deleting all of this, right? I'll still show you how to save your dashboard, right? I'll still show you how to save it separately. Everything that I have created, please, if they're in your chart, you cannot afford to delete them. So let's continue. We talked about using or showing trends or relationships between two variables, right? That's what we use a scatter plot for, right? So let's quickly create a scatter plot, right? So let's say we want to show the relationship between the units sold, right? We want to show a relationship between the unit sold and the unit price. We want to know if they even have any sort of relationship. What do? I click down on unit sold and unit price. I go back to insert, click on recommended chart. Immediately I click on recommended chart, the first thing that you see is you are seeing a scatter plot. That's because that shows the relationship actually between two variables, right? And so immediately I click on it, I'm going to be clicking on unit price, right? So I'm going to be clicking on the scatter plot and I'll do OK. Once I do OK, the chart has been set there. So I'll control X and I'll go back to my dashboard. So let me name this dashboard so that we'll know where we are plotting at. I'll go back to my dashboard and insert it there. Once I insert it there, right, I can decide, okay, I will now rename it unit price, right? I'll rename it unit price by, is it unit sold? Unit sold. Yes, unit price by unit sold, right? So I think that was what was there in the first place. Yeah, unit price by unit sold. So basically, looking at the unit price and unit sold, how can we interpret this chart? We can say, there's no really relationship between them, right? But what if we now check the unit sold and the total sales? What if we now check those two? So let's check unit sales, unit price. No, I said unit sold and total sales. So let's check a relationship. They must definitely have a relationship because you are multiplying the unit price by the unit sold to actually get your total sales, right? If you don't have a relationship, it's wrong. So I'll go to recommended chart again and I'll use a scatter plot, right? Immediately I use a scatter plot, you will see it and I'll carry it, right? And I'll bring it to my dashboard. I'll place it right next to my dashboard here. So I'm going to call this the unit price or the, yeah, what did we use? Unit sold by total sales. Remember, we used unit sold by total sales. So ordinarily, now how do you read a scatter chart? You will notice that this is what we call a linear relationship inside of charts or data analysis. You can actually say that okay, the units sold and the total sales, they have a linear relationship. That is, when you're tagging something linear relationship, it means as one is increasing, the other is increasing. And it means that you are able to actually plot like a line between them. So if you look at it visually, oh, you can actually bring a line into this, right? You can actually have a line between them. True or false? You can have a straight line between these. True or false?
True.
Very good. So if you are seeing your chart and you can be able to draft that, it's very clear to see that, oh, as this one is increasing, this one is increasing. Just compare it to this one. Do you think this one also has a linear relationship? You can see it's scattered everywhere. It's not even showing that they are going towards the same direction. But this one is going towards the same direction. So you can actually tell whosoever that you're plotting this chart for that, okay, oh, I can advise you based on that. I know that these two charts, they actually have a linear relationship, right? So you can tell them, okay, I know they actually have a linear relationship. So you can also look at the other recommended charts, right? You can use a line chart as well. So also a line chart can also be used to compare the relationship between two variables, right? And then you can use this chart as well. But this time around, we were talking about scatter chart, so we'll leave it there. So that's the example of a scatter chart exactly. Now, how do we get histogram? Let's say we want to get the frequency of the total sales, right? So that's how we use an histogram. So what do? I go back to my sales table, right? So I want to get the frequency of the total sales. So I click on it, I click on insert, right, and click on recommended chart. Then immediately you will see that, oh, these are the things that you are seeing, and then you will see that the third one is an histogram. right? And histogram helps you to get the frequency of how much a thing is occurring, essentially, right? So for an histogram, you can actually see that an histogram is different from a column chart or bar chart. You can see that I'm actually applying column chart or bar chart only to what's it called, text column, right? But for an histogram is mostly applicable to sales or to numerical columns, right? You can actually see that an histogram only appeared when I was using numerical data. So I'll click on OK, right? So this is the distribution of my total sales, right? And that's what histogram actually does for you. It shows us the distribution of data. So I'm going to paste it here. And when I paste it here, I'm going to reduce it, right? And I'm going to call it distribution of total sales. Distribution of total sales. Let me close this. Distribution of total sales. Right, so that's the distribution of total sales essentially, and that's a chart. So what other things can we, sorry, here. What other things can we see there? You might ask, what other charts are available? There are different types of charts. We have gone through 5 charts very briefly, right? So what are the best practices that you're asking us to do? Keep it simple, right? Make sure that you don't have unnecessary clutter. And when we are talking about clutter, it means that you have too much data points or elements that are not there. If you have too much data points, always learn to filter your data points to like the top 500 or top 1000, right? If you have like a distribution of 5,000, so you can filter to top 1000. Or if you know that your chart is able to accommodate it, then leave it like that. Make sure that your chart is always explainable. Another best practice, make sure that you're using the correct chart. Don't use a wrong chart. Another one, highlight key insights. Use colors and annotations to draw attention. Make sure that you are using the right colors, right? And that one is labeled clearly. And I will show you. Use dynamic charts linked to pivot tables for interactivity, right? And I will show you what that means as well. So let's go back to our Excel table. So if you are noticing, these are dynamic charts, and this chart is very interactive, meaning that people can actually look at it. They can actually filter, right? These are what we call interactivity. People can actually interact with that chart. So because you used pivot table here, that's why we are able to have it. You will notice the difference between the charts that we used ordinary charts and pivot tables. Pivot tables allow you to, or pivot chart essentially, right? They allow you to filter, they allow you to interact with the data and different other things. But normal charts don't allow you to do that. So oftentimes it's always advised that you even make use of pivot tables. So if you notice, I'm going to do something here, and I want you to look at all my charts. I want you to look at how it's going to affect the majority of it. So you can actually see that as a subset to this, this is getting affected. Now there's a way that I can actually apply filters, right, on my chart level, right? But we'll see that when we go to, I think we are going to learn about advanced charts very soon, probably in the last class or something. Yeah, I think I can confirm. So we start learning advanced charts. It's part of the last class that we will be having, and Kolapo actually can confirm that we'll be having that class. So basically, those are some of the charts that we have, right? Based on the data. So you may be asking, how can we even use map? How can we even use map? Let me see if I can bring in a data that I've used for Power BI so that we can see how to use map. So Power BI is right here, and yeah, that's let me see. I'm looking for a data that has location location data. I'm sure I have it somewhere here. Yeah, I think Adventure Work sales data should have location. I'm not sure if it does, but it should. So let's open it up. I want to show you how to use a proper map, right? Okay, I think that's coming up. Yeah, Adventure Work sales. Let me see if it has location data, sales territory, resellers territory, region country. Hmm. Sales data, this is general data. No, this was not what I was looking to have. I was looking to have something in a whole table. But yeah, let me see if this would work. Let me see if this would. Alright. I'm going to, yeah, such as state, province in separate columns. Okay, let me do something. Yeah, we need to have our state of province in separate columns. I'm going to delete this. Um, where's my delete button? Right. So let's see if we could have this. Oh, we're not open to have a clustered column chart. Let's see if this will also work. Works geographical data in separate columns. Alright, I know what to do. Let's see if this will work. So for map charts, right? For map charts in Power BI and Excel, you have to make sure that your data contains recognizable location columns that is able to detect by itself, right? This is just me changing colors, but um, let me see. Because map charts work mostly with location data. This postal code is not fully correct, so um, just give me a minute. Now content have been disabled. Enable content. Mm-hmm. I have a valid here. So, so now, mm, I showed map. It's not really showing much. So that's the problem. If you want to use a map, right? Because all that I've been doing is supposed to work, right? But if Excel does not recognize it as a country, it's not essentially going to work. So you can see that when I clicked on it, it's not giving us something that is viable, right? Excel does not really recognize it. So it doesn't recognize the location. So what we are going to do is we are going to convert them to their ISO codes, right? So when we are talking about ISO codes, so location data are very actually tricky. They're very, very tricky, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to use the location ISO codes. So if you don't know about ISO codes, you can Google search what are the ISO codes of this country. Um, so I'm going to search ISO codes for Australia, for Canada, for France, right? For Germany. I'm going to get for United Kingdom as well. United Kingdom. I'm going to get for United States as well. Alright. So yeah, let's get the ISO codes for each of those. But if it's Power BI is able to pick up all these names by itself. It doesn't necessarily need to use. So that's why Power BI is very suitable, is more suitable for visualizations than Excel. Because Power BI does not necessarily need to you to process all these things, right? What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to replace it right inside of this column. So I want to duplicate the column. I want to make sure that I'm not deleting anything because I don't want to delete anything here. Cause yeah, that was supposed to be copied or inserted. That's the problem with tables. It's because it's a table. Yeah, a table can be really problematic. If you're copying from a table, you have to paste towards the same size. If not, it will not answer it. But we can't keep doing this. So let me just select this to the end and copy. Then select this to the end. So all these drawings that I'm going through inside of Excel, if it's Power BI, I don't necessarily need to go through it, right? I don't necessarily need to go through it. So let me do, I'm naming this ISO code, right? So I will change this column. I'll do a replace on it. I've already seen what's there. So what I'm going to do is call that boy. Yeah, that reminds me that boy that is supposed to be here. Sorry, find that place is country G. Have you sent him the what he needs?
Ma'am?
Have you sent him what he needs? Like I
Yes,
was asking for. What did you say? You have, right? Okay, thank you.
yes,
So essentially,
yes,
what I'm
ma'am.
going
I
to
did,
do
ma'am.
here, right, is to do a find and replace, right? So I'm going to find and replace. And here I'm going to find search by search by rows. So I'm going to find what? I'm going to find United States. Something has changed here. I'm going to find United States. And I'm going to replace it by the ISO code. Now, what is the ISO
J.
code of United States? Is
Oh, it's a
US.
bono.
You're going to be using Alpha 2 codes. So we have something that we call Alpha 2 and Alpha 3. Alpha 3 gives you 3 letters for your ISO codes. Alpha 2 just gives you 2 letters to represent your ISO codes. That's what I'm going to be doing here. Right, I'm going to replace all essentially. So you can see that it's only the column that I clicked on that I made the replacement. So make sure that before you are using a control F. So essentially what I just did was to use a control F. Control F works inside of Excel, but if you're using, sorry, is someone saying something? All right, the control F.
Mm.
Sorry, caller, please mute your mic. All right, Covenant, can you still hear me?
Yes.
All right, amazing. So what I used is a control F. So what you want to do is just you want to find and replace all, right? So I've replaced all the United States only within the column that you're working with. Don't forget, right? So I want to look for Australia too. I'm going to replace Australia by the ISO 2 Alpha 2 code. So there's ISO, different types of ISO code. There's Alpha 2 and there's Alpha 3. Alpha 2 just gives you two abbreviations for a country name, right? Alpha 3 gives you three abbreviations for a country name, right? So that's just something to note. I'm going to be replacing France too by its ISO code. France is France is FR by ISO 2 Alpha 2 code. I'm going to replace all. I'm going to do the same thing to Germany. Germany is Germany is called DE. Germany. I'm going to replace all. I'm going to do the same thing to Germany. Germany is called DE. 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 Germany is DA. I'm going to replace all, right? After replacing Germany, we also have Canada and then we have United Kingdom. So Canada, make a replacement. Canada is actually CA. So replace all. Then you're going to do the same thing to United Kingdom as well. So United Kingdom is simply UK. United Kingdom, which is simply UK. UK. So replace all. Right. So after that replacement have been done, I'm not sure if there's any more that we have not replaced. I think I replaced them. Right. So we close our find bar because we've been able to find our replace. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it ISO code. So let's hope that our map sees the ISO code. Ordinarily on Power BI gets these country regions, is able to work with all those things, right? It's just Excel that you might need to have a special methodology. So I'm going to call this Alpha 2. Right. So if this does not work after this, I'm going to have to debug what's wrong with Excel to know what's going on essentially. I might have to take a look more at it. Yeah, so it's not working with it. There's something wrong with the data. And I'm going to debug it. I'm going to come and do this visualization again in the next class. So if this was based on Power BI, it would have been easier to use because Power BI recognizes the names of places and countries precisely without you having to point it towards the right direction, right? So for me personally, for table analysis, for normal analysis, for formula using, I prefer Excel. For visualization, I prefer Power BI because Power BI will not stress you that much. So with that being said, that's what I'm going to start next class with to show you how to format that visualization inside of Excel, right? To have a map inside of Excel. Um, I might even show us after before the end of this class, right? So with that being said, um, sorry. All right, so with that being said, so we have seen the different kind of visualizations that we can have, right? You might be wondering, what's even this tree map? What do we mean by tree map, right? Tree map is used to compare different data across hierarchy levels. It works like a pie chart too, but you don't want to use a pie chart where you're supposed to use a tree map. So tree map helps you with hierarchical data essentially, but currently we don't have anything like hierarchical data here, right? Let me say I want to plot, oh, I want to do a tree map of the categories. So I just click on it and then I click on tree map, right? So when I click on tree map, it's giving me, sorry, when I click on this, then I click on my data here, click on unit sort. So start out from the recommended charts. You will see the charts that are recommended, right? All the charts are recommended. You can see histogram, you can see a tree map. And you can one way to actually look at is to see if your visualization would work before you start working out is to click out on your columns and see the charts that are available. Right? So if I'm using this map, sorry, I don't know why this is getting selected. All charts. Let me see if TreeMap will give us something. Yeah, this is it. So we have your tree map. This is what a tree map essentially looks like, right? Isato. Yeah, so this is what your tree map actually looks like. So you can see what I meant by make sure that when you're using the tree map, it's an hierarchical data. I don't think there's much hierarchical about having different categories of data like this, right? You can see accessories, audio, electronics, it's just displaying different types of them based on what? Based on what is selected, right? So it's giving you the accessory. So for this accessory now, for the column where the value is 20, that's what it's giving you for, right? So you're seeing that, oh, it seems like it's this accessory or this accessory that might actually have the biggest deal. So if you look at accessories, or which place is accessories actually 20, what do? I go to this place, right? And I filter, I apply a filter here. When I apply a filter, I go to categories and I go to accessories as well. I do okay. Then I go here to intentionally sort, right? I go to sort from largest to smallest to see the largest. So you can see that the largest here is 20. And that was exactly what it was showing us first. So a tree map actually shows hierarchical information. So you can see it's going from the largest accessory to the next largest, right? After it has all the 20s, what does it do next? It starts going to the smallest. So a tree map actually helps you with hierarchical sorting. So if you don't need to do anything around hierarchies, please don't use a tree map. It's advisable not to use a tree map, right? So a tree map uses the values that you provide it to sort something. So let me say, for example, right? I'm going to list this guy right here. I'm going to remove. I'm going to delete this guy right here, and I'm going to remove all the filters that I applied. So I'll just go here and click on clear. Once I click on clear, to clear the filters. Now let me say, oh, I want to see the region by the unit code, and I want to use a tree map to actually check that out. I will click region and then I will click the unit code. And what do I do next? I go to this place. This is where your tree map is rather. This is a funnel chart. This controls funnel charts, waterfall charts, radar charts. But this is where your tree map is. So you want to click this and then you want to click tree map. So once you click that, sometimes your tree map will take a while to load, but it will definitely come up. Just be patient and wait for it to come up. Yeah, so that's it. So what would I want to do in this case? Before I would want to use this tree map, because I don't want to keep seeing all these values that I'm seeing, right? Northwest, northwest, northwest. I also want to see northwest, east, south, the four regions. So what do I do? You're asking in that scenario. What you do is that you create what? You actually have to create a pivot table, right? So the two I created, remember, is already selected. So I selected region, I selected unit code, and I'm going to create a pivot table, right? So I want to add it to a new worksheet, right? And I've pulled it to, I need to select my table range. So I'm going to select this table range, right? So I'm going to select the ones that are there first and clear this off because I'm just using two table range. I'm using this and I'm using this as well. So once I select on those two, what do? I click on this small button down. Once I click on it, I will tell you to insert in a new worksheet and do okay. And where is the data source reference that is not valid? Let me see. New worksheet, day to day. Okay, I know what to do. I know what to do. All right. Let me remove this chart again. I'm going to remove the filter here. Filter and remove filter. Right. Then I'm going to select my region. I'm going to select my sales. Insert pivot tables. All right. So I don't know if it's expecting that I select a single range, but it might be expecting me to select a single range. If that is it, I know how to tweak it, how to work around that. So if it doesn't accept it, we'll have to select the entire table, right? And do a pivot chart based on that. So this is what we are going to do next. We are going to select our table, click pivot table. Yes, use the entire worksheet and click on OK. Yeah, so I can draft my pivot table from here since it didn't allow me to select individually. So what do? Remember, we are trying to get sales by region. So what do? I bring my sales and region. So where is it? Sales. This is region, right? I bring it here. More like rows. I want my region to be rows, and I also want this to be the price, the total sales, right? To be my values. So you can actually see what I did already. I just brought my region to rows. I brought my values, sum of total sales to values. Now I can decide that, okay, this is what I want to actually use to create my tree map. So I go here and click on tree map. With the data inside of the pivot table, please select a tree. Okay, that's a lot, but I wanted us to actually have it highlighted. I wanted us to have something short, something not too voluminous, right? So that's why it's essential to use the correct type of map. So it's not allowing us use a tree map essentially. But if you want to use a tree map, right, you already know how to make use of it. And you don't want to use a tree map for something that is not hierarchical. Please avoid it at all costs. Right. Avoid it at all costs. Avoid using a tree map at all costs if it's not essentially necessary. So I've shown us how it's not possible to actually create a tree map. You can already see the number of recommended charts, right? For this pivot table, we have different charts that are recommended, except the tree map will not show, right? So you can actually look at it as well. Reader also supports it. A tree map is not supported with pivot table. A Sunbox is not supported with a pivot table. An histogram is not supported with a pivot table. A box on Wixar. So essentially, I'm showing you tables or columns that or charts that are actually not supported with a pivot table as well, right? You can see a combo chart as well. Sorry, a combo chart is actually supported. It's just that you have to create it from a combination of two series of data. But a funnel chart is not supported. A funnel chart and the waterfall chart are also not supported inside of a pivot table. So essentially, that was actually to prove the theory wrong. That can we actually create a tree map? Can we essentially create a tree map from a pivot table? Our answer is no. Essentially, avoid it if you don't need to use it. So that was a practical example of using a tree map. Now I'm going to give us a quick classwork because you need to go into advanced functions. We started with functions, right? I think a while ago, I can't remember. Right, we started with it. Oh yeah, that's true. I've not actually gone through the process of how we can customize our chart. There are different ways to actually customize our charts, right? So we have created a nice dashboard. It's looking nice. We have done different things. The question is now that can we customize it? Of course, yes. So you can see immediately I selected a chart, you can already see this thing that is there, that is showing chart styles. Right? It's showing me different styles that I can apply to my chart. You can see these are the different styles. You might decide to use this style is applicable. Now, if I want to change the color, I don't want all these color schemes. They may be looking boring to me. So what if I want to change it to another type of color, right? So I can select this, all right, as my color scheme, and that will follow my color scheme. But how do I even actually do it extensively, right? How do I extensively design my chart? If it's a pivot chart, one thing that you would see, right? Immediately you click your chart, one thing that you will see the different ways to actually work around something, select data, move chart. But immediately you select on your chart as well, one thing that you would see is pivot chart, analyze, and design. Right? These are ways to actually help you customize your chart better. So you can do different types of things. You can insert a slicer from here, right? So if I click on insert a slicer, you already see the slicer. I can decide which I want to use as my slicers. I'm going to click on, okay, I want to use all my columns as slicers. Or possibly I can tell it, okay, I just want to use the category name as slicers, right? Or I want to use category and region, and then I'll click OK. Immediately I click OK, you'll notice that two slicers have been created, right? So once I click on accessories, you'll notice that it's only affecting the chart that I selected it for. Once I click on audio, you'll notice that it's affecting it. Once I click on electronics, you'll notice that it's only affecting this chart essentially. Once if I click on East region, right, you'll notice that it's also only affecting this chart alone, right? And that was because I clicked on it. It was this exact chart that I clicked on to produce both of these slicers essentially. So once I click on West as well, right, you notice that it's only this chart. Because you may be wanting to ask the question, why is this chart not affected? That was because I clicked on this chart before creating my slicers essentially. So if you want to create slicers from the entire table, you can create slicers for the entire table, but don't select that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to clear filters from category here. I'm going to return it back to the way it was. So this is my chart looking all nice and cozy, right? So I'm showing you how to actually design charts. So you go to pivot chart analyze. There are different things that you can see here. But if you want to design it, you go to design. And when you click on design, essentially, what do you start seeing? you start seeing the way to change the colors. So I've shown you how to change colors. What if you want to change the layout? You don't like how it's looking. You can also change the layout from here as well, right? You can use different layouts. What if you want to switch the row and column? You can switch the row and column in such a way that the total becomes your row and then the sales becomes your column. So you can also switch it back as well. And then you can also select the data. You know you have actually selected a data specifically before. You can also switch your data up as well and decide, okay, I want to switch my rank column. Then I want to switch it back. What if I want to change my data range? I can go back and go and change my data range as much as possible as well. So those are the things I can do, right? And you can also move it around as well. Where do you want to move it? You can move it to a new sheet essentially. Right. So these are things. So for a normal chart, that was for a pivot table, right? What if now I'm actually working with a normal chart? How can I do the same thing with a normal chart, right? Now, if I want to do the same with a normal chart, you can already see the filters that are applicable to a normal chart. Immediately I clicked on it, you saw that the filters actually came out. So for a normal chart, how do I do that as well? I go to chart design and I can change the different designs applicable to it. So you can see you can change the layout as well. You can decide to change the way it's looking. I want it to have a black background. I want it to look like this. I want it to be 3D. Right? You can change this as well as much as possible. You can even change the chart type. You don't like this chart anymore. You want to switch it up, but you don't want to have to delete and come back again. You just click on change chart type, and your chart type will be changed essentially. So far, do we have any questions at all? And also, yes, another thing, thank God I'm not forgetting. Another thing is in your elements, always make sure that you are labeling everything. You want to make sure that the person that you are producing the chart for understands what you are doing, right? You want to ensure that the person understands what you are doing, right? Now, so you want to have access title. Make sure that you have access titles, right? Make sure you have your axis titles and label your axis correctly, right? So I'm going to label this axis and I'm going to call it what? I'm going to call this one date, right? I'm going to call this one date. I'm going to call back and call this one total sales. Make sure that your axes have titles, just like I said. Your axes should have titles. If you don't have titles, you're wrong in all means. So label axis as well. Label this axis. Come here and click on the plus and make sure that your axis title is switched on. So this one is unit sold, and this one is what? This one is total sales. Control A. Select now total sales. So now that's how to give all of them access titles as much as possible, right? You want to make sure that you have all those things filled up. Those are actually best practices as much as possible. Those are best practices as much as possible. Right. So do you have any questions? Yeah, any questions? Any questions?
No, ma.
All right. Mr. Kazim, you're welcome. Right. Trying to see this stuff. Yeah, not this one. So let's see from this guy. I want us to see if we can still fix this chart that is not actually showing, which is supposed to actually show. So let's import, let's do a pivot table. Let's see if we can actually use a pivot table from this place. And then just use the state and the province as the rows. And use the state and the province as the values as well. So it's just to a count, right? So after it does a count, let's see if you're able to actually visualize the table essentially. So let's click on this pivot table. Kentucky to Wisconsin. No, I don't want to have this one. You want to have this, guys. So let's go back to insert and let's go back to maps. Let's see if it would actually give us a map. It's supposed to give us a map, right? So basically, from the ways I've seen it, this map is supposed to actually be working. I don't understand why it's not working essentially. According to, yeah, it's supposed to be working. All right, so I will debug what's going on here because the map is not that difficult, right? These are applicable locations that are supposed to work. Essentially, trying to see what's going on. It's not looking likely. All right, so just like I mentioned, I will debug what's going on with my map. It might be peculiar to just myself alone for what's going on, but normally it should actually work when you use field map. So yeah, you should be able to select field map here, right? So it says map chart works best with geographical data such as state of province, and that's actually what we are actually using already. So we already have our state of province in a column. It's still not working. So just like I mentioned, I'm going to debug it. I'm going to see what's going on with that map because everything that we have been clicking is supposed to work, except there is a detail that I'm not seeing somewhere and I'm supposed to be seeing. But I'm very sure we are doing the right thing. Oh, I think I know what's going on here. Is there Washington, Washington? Washington, Washington. Why am I saying Washington, Washington? Texas, Texas, California. Yeah, it might be because of the mixtures in the data, essentially. But I'm going to resolve that, just like I said. All right. So, with that being said, we are going to have a quick class work. And I want to make sure that we're able to do it. And once we have that class work, we'll do a quick presentation as well. And that's the class work that we are going to have today, right? Before we move on to applying or working on Power Queries or applying advanced functions as much as possible, right? So, all right, let's go to that. Our what's it called? Our data. I'm going to be giving us the data to work with. Let me see. I think there's a class work attached here. Yeah, creating an interactive dashboard. Create a pivot table summarizing sales by product and region. So let's use our sales data as well. Let's use the sales data that we had from last time. So Covenant, this is your opportunity to do it in class using your phone and for me to correct you on that. So basically, I want us to create three different types of charts, right? Make sure that you're using the correct chart. Use different types of charts. Mr. Kazim, you're welcome. I think you already know how to do this. So I want you to create a pivot table. This is your class work. I'm going to post it on our group. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So while you're doing your classwork, I'll be trying to debug that maps and see what's going on. And by the time we are done with classwork, you have 15 minutes to do your classwork. By the time we are done with your classwork, I should be able to correct what's going on in that aspect. Probably it's my data that I need to adjust. But our classwork has been posted in the chat. So Mr. Kasim, you're welcome. Covenant. Please pick up your classwork. It's the same sales data. I want you to build 5 visualizations and then you'll be presenting. Build 5 visualizations. Put it in a nice table. Make sure it's looking all nice and cozy, even though you are using your phone. And then you'll be presenting at the end of that 15 minutes. So as usual, I'm timing us to make sure that we don't go beyond time. Immediately we are done with that, we go directly into our class, which is this, right? We want to learn how to do advanced data analysis, right? So that means we will learn how to use if, VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, index match, and different other things before we now go into what's it called? Power Query. Power Query is one of the nicest topics you don't want to miss. All right, so 15 minutes. That's all we have. Let's get started. I've already pasted it. You already have the data. It's the sales
Yes.
data that
I didn't get the question. I didn't get the
the
question.
question is inside the chat. It's inside the chat box for this class that we are having. So this is it. As you can see, my screen is inside the call messages that we have. So I'm going to pin this. Yeah. So this is the question. Mr. Kazim, did you get it? The question is already inside our chat box, so we just have to look at it. Oh, let me
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to look at it and pick it up. All right. So we have 15 minutes, and all right, our time starts now. Yeah, our 15 minutes has started. So covenants, you already know you can use WPS. Let's get started.
Olè ra tagun. Let me big this boy. Pepe. Lọ́wọ́ ṣeré o. Nígbà lè gbà tí wọ́n gbà tẹ́wọ̀.
All right. Okay, our time is up. Wherever we are, please let's start. And I will also show us how to prepare that visualization that I mentioned. Will also show us how to prepare that visualization that I mentioned. So our time is up. So Mr. Kasim, I don't know if you have something to present perhaps. Just anywhere you've reached. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I've not gone far at all. It's not something to present.
Okay, where have
So
you reached?
I'm not gone. Mm. I've not gone far because I was having challenge with my network, getting it online and everything.
Oh, okay, no problem. So I just want us
Mm.
to, I wanted also after that visualization, but please give me a minute. All right, so sorry. I was mentioning that will show us how to prepare that map chart, right? So when we are working, sometimes it's because you're just starting. It might be hard to get adapted to it as first, but as we work, it will be much more easier. So I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to show the entire process of preparing the map chart that I promised, right? Covenant, you're welcome, right? Just quick question. Do you have something to present? Hmm? Hello, Covenant, can you hear me? Covenant, if you can hear me, I can't hear you, Sha. Despite that, I can't hear you if you can hear me.
I can hear you, ma. I can hear you.
Yeah, I was asking if you had something to present.
So I'm not done yet.
Okay, no problem. That's not a problem. But do you have any chat? Have you prepared any chat or anything? Even one or two?
Yes, I prepared one.
All right, no problem. That one that you prepared as well, you can also present it. That's not a problem. I understand that I gave 15 minutes, and that was because I was watching the time in class. So, all right. So I'm going to be doing something. I'm going to need us to pay as much attention as possible, right? Do I want to go this part? No, I don't want to go this part yet. So when we enter something that we call Power Query, we are going to most likely start next week. I will teach us how to join different tables inside of different Excel sheets together, or even inside of different totally Excel workbooks. I'll teach us how to do that with Power Query. But today we want to actually see how we can do the map visualization. So you may be wondering, why were we doing our map visualization earlier and it was not even working? Right. We're trying as much as possible to do it. Kò ṣáà ṣiṣẹ́. So here's the reason. I'm looking for that data, reseller data. All right. So basically, for this reseller data, what I had to do in this scenario. So the problem is that map visualization. The reason why when we inserted this map here, we didn't see anything, but it was complaining about the fact that oh, it works best with geographical. That's because we had repetitions inside of our data. Right. United States has been repeated more than enough times. So in that case scenario, what do we do? Right, you might be asking, what do we do? Then in that case scenario, One thing that we might do is to actually remove duplicates, right? So, and we are going to be removing the duplicates based on what? Based on our country region. But I'm not advising this at all. Don't tamper with your original data. I'm going to repeat what I just said again. Don't tamper with your original data, because you can see that after I dropped it, you can see what my original data is left with. So please avoid tampering with your original data. So essentially, I'm going to click these two, right? And I'm going to click on insert. I'm going to be able to insert a map essentially, right? It didn't even work with this. But the other alternative route is to do what? I'm going to be showing us what to do, right? So just like I said earlier, avoid tampering with your original data as much as possible. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to undo all my actions, and I'll click on this country or region. Immediately I click on it, I'll go and click on insert. When I click on insert, I click on pivot table, right? So I'll now click on from table or range, and I already have my table or range, right? I'll click on OK. So once I click on OK, it will show me a pivot table. Of course, you know a pivot table usually gets inserted in a new sheet if you don't click existing worksheet. So what do? Remember, we are trying to view country or region. So I'll carry this country or region, I'll drag it to the rows field, right? I'll carry that same country or region, drag it to values field, right? So it's count of country or region that I'm currently seeing. Now, what do? If you now say, okay, we can use it directly, I'm going to show you what will happen if you try to use it directly. Click on maps, try to use it directly. And this is the information that you get. It cannot be used inside of a pivot table. So what do you do in that case scenario? Just carry it, right? Copy it and paste it and do, okay, country names, right? Do country names and then do count of countries, count of countries. Then after doing that, what do? You select your data again and go and click on maps. When you click on maps, click on field maps. You will see that immediately I selected that, I can see my map, right? Now, how can you expressly see the count of the country? You click on this plus and click on data labels. So it will be showing you the labels. So you know that in this place you have 144, and it's already showing you as you're clicking on it, you are saying, oh, Canada is 144 entered in the data. This 427 is United States, 127, right? So this is how to create a map, right? So let's see if we can do the same thing with state or region as well. So what do? That same place where we were before, right? We have to create another pivot table. So I'll select on this pivot table to show me what I have, right? So I will duplicate this pivot table because I don't want to mess with this one. So after you are done with the pivot tables, you can feel free to delete them and leave only the one that you copied and pasted. So I'm going to paste that pivot table again. So rather than country or region, yeah, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be using state or province. And then I will delete this country or region because I don't want to have country or region. So what do? I click down on it, right? This small button, this small view button that you can see down here, and I click on remove values. Once I click on remove values, it will remove the country or region and leave only state, right? So as you can see that it has done that. And then this count of country or region is not what I want to have. Although I'm seeing the count of country or region, but this is not what I want to have. I also want to have the count of state or province. So I'm going to drag it there and drop it there. And what do as well? I remove this field of count of country or region. So after I'm done with that, what do? I copy the values for both of them, right? I copy the values for both of them. And what do? I go back somewhere else, and then I can put it in this M and I paste it here. Sorry, let me start from line 2 so that I'll be able to put details here. Then delete this grand total. You don't need grand total. I'm going to be deleting both of those, and I'm going to be clearing the content and deleting it. So what do? I do state here. I put state here. Then I put count of state here as well. Count of state. So once I'm done with that, how do I plot my chart? I select both of them, right? Make sure that you're selecting within their range. I select both of them and click on insert. When I click on insert, I click under maps, click under field maps. And immediately I click on that, you notice already that it's showing for the different states. So I can as well put my data labels still. And for the ones that are obvious, or for the ones that are able to be obvious, you will see it. I can say count of states, count of states or province, state or province in the sales data. So I don't know if you got that. So if I want to carry this and even enter into another sheet, I can Control X it and bring it into the sheet that I'm working with, essentially, right? So that's into the Excel sheet. Yes, you can copy data from one Excel sheet to another. It's allowed. So I'll bring it to where my dashboard is. What do I do? I come down here and I paste it here. When I paste it, of course, it pastes. So you can see how to bring it there. Essentially, that's how to plot your map data, right? And also, if you remember, we were trying to do the same thing with stream map, and it was complaining that, oh, this stream map does not work with this one, it doesn't work with that one. So what do? We want to see the hierarchy, right, of the region and then probably the units sold. And you cannot insert pivot table using just two columns. So just click on your pivot table, leave it at that range, right, and click on OK, right? So let me click on our entire table and insert our. Okay, let me see if we already have an existing pivot table that we can use. No, I'm not looking at. Oh, yeah, we can even use this one. So what do? We copy and paste it here, right? And when we copy and paste, right, and we want to increase or we want to include our what's it called? Our tree map, right? So you click on your data. Remember, you must have copied it out of your pivot table into like a real place. So you click on it and then you go to your tree map and click on tree map and then you'll be able to see it directly, right? So I can do here. So that's the code for charts that actually can be used inside of pivot table, but you need to see a summarized view. Prepare that pivot table, copy it out into a separate place outside of the pivot table, and so hierarchical chart for sales by region. So essentially, right, this is a tree map. So I'm going to be copying from here, and I'm going to be pasting it in my dashboard, right? So very simple, as simple as ABC. So if you want to use a pivot table to summarize data, but Excel is not allowing you to use a pivot chart or a chart on that pivot table, just copy the data inside of that pivot table, paste it in a separate place, and use it from there. And then you'll be able to do all those nice things, right? So you can see West is the one that has the highest sales, then followed by South, then followed by this guy North, then followed by East. So this is how you can do a tree map. So Covenant, before we go into the last topic that we have for today, I'm going to allow you to present, right? I didn't know it would take this much time of visualization, but it was worth it because I need you to understand visualization in Excel. So we'll just quickly look at powered query or power query, and then next week we'll do functions because I want to explain this function very well. But this power query is something that we can easily go through well. So all right, Covenant, please present and let's quickly do power query before we move into advanced functions. So Covenant, over to you.
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah, here. Stop sharing. All right, so present. You can present now. Just take over for me. Yeah, we can see your screen now.
This is
So
the
just present the chart.
uh,
Yeah. Okay, good.
this is my
And increase it as well. All right. Okay, very good. So can you explain how you got it?
not really. I'm not really good at explanation.
Just explain anyhow.
Okay. At first, the data sales, the sales data for that you gave us.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to create a pivot table starting with
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see my pivot table in sheet 3. This was
Mm-hmm.
the pivot table. So I used
Okay.
it to create the chart.
All right. So, all right. Okay, that's very good. All right, so that's very good, right? All those things that we are doing inside of Excel on laptop, you can also do it with our phones actually. You can create private chats with your phones. You can create private tables with your phones as well. So I wanted us to make sure that you can see that you can actually do that. So Covenant, you know what to do, Abby?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, amazing. So Mr. Kasim, I hope you also got the place where we talked about creating all those charts.
Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. You're welcome, sir. All right. So I said you're going to go quickly into Power Query, and I'm going to be using this data, right, that we used to create our map. That's the Adventure Work Sales. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to quickly learn how to create Power Queries or how to make use of Power Queries. So please let me know when you can see my screen.
You can see it.
All right. Very good. So yes, I'm going back to Excel, that place we are coming. Yeah, this place. I want to make sure that I'm not having sheets scattered all over the place. Let me call this pivot table. Please name your pivot sheets when they are created. Make sure that you are naming them. So pivot table for what's this one? Okay, product. And then name this dashboard. Pivot chart dashboard. So that it doesn't get confusing. All right, so let's go to Power Query and I'll show you how to do Power Queries. Right. So I'll close this Adventure Workspace that I have before. I want to see the data that I need inside of it first. So I'm going to be needing this sales data, right? Because this is where the sales is, and I'm going to be combining it with the reseller data. Or is it reseller data or sales territory now? No, not sales territory. So I'm going to be combining the sales data and where's the second one? Yes, sales data and reseller data. Yes, that's what I was looking for. So I'm going to be combining sales data and reseller data, right? So please remind me what I just mentioned. So sales and reseller data is what I'm combining together, right? So how do we do that? We want to combine two tables inside of the same worksheet. We can also apply it, right? So the first thing I do is go to my home, not file. I go to my home, right? And then after seeing my home, very nice, right? I want to create a new worksheet for this, right? So we are like a fresh Excel worksheet. Now, how do I do Power Query? I go to insert, right? Sorry, not insert. I go to data rather. And I click on data, right? This will give me access to my Power Query. But first and foremost, I need to bring in my data into my working environment. So how do I do that? I click on get data and I click on from file, right? Please note this. If you know this, it's going to be very easy for you to be in Power BI. It's just be a walk in the park in Power BI. What do? I click on from file. When I click on from file, what do I do again? I click on the source that is coming from. Where is it coming from? Is it a CSV file? You know, we have different data types. You have CSV files, right? CSV files are just comma separated values. They are like text data that have been separated with commas. Then we have the Excel workbook. My data is coming from an Excel workbook. So I'll be clicking from Excel workbook, right? And my data is inside another place. So I have to locate where it is, right? It's inside of the Power BI. Yes, it's inside of here. And this is my Adventure Work Sales, right? Now I'll click on import. Remember I said we are going to be working with our sales data, right? We are going to be working on our sales and reseller data. So now what will happen is that immediately you click on import, it will show you all the worksheets that are inside of the data that you are trying to import. Every one of the worksheets. But now remember I said I'm working with sales, so I can select it, right? And I also want to work with reseller, so I can select sales first, right? So if I want to select multiple options at the same time, I'll just click on select multiple options. So it will give me a selection box beside it. So what do? I click on sales, right? After clicking on sales, because the sales and seller that we want to work with. When I click on sales, I need to make sure that okay, all my sales data is inside it. What do I do next? I click on reseller. Remember we said you're using reseller as well. And why are we using reseller, right? We're using reseller because it has the country region that we might be looking at. Then let's see, what does sales territory data look like? No, we don't really like this. It's summarized table. We want to work with full table. So let's also see our customer data. Right. Let's see what customer data looks like. Is it giving us information on the customers? Yes, it is. We are going to be picking these three columns. And what do we do next? After picking all the data that we need, we are going to be clicking on load. When we load them, those three data will actually get loaded. So you can see it's saying it's processing the queries, right? After those three data have been loaded, we actually see them here. It will show us that they are getting loaded, right? So the three data that we have is still loading them. Once it's done loading them, we'll be able to see our data directly. So it's still loading, still loading. And so we are going to be looking at different, it's creating relationships between them, right? So when you click on the data, you're able to actually see it directly, what your data looks like. So you can decide, okay, I want to view this data in worksheet, right? So when you click in view in worksheet, you're able to view it. When you click on edit, you're able to edit your data, but you notice that immediately you click on edit, this is the Power Query editor. But what if you didn't click on that data and you clicked on edit, right? So the another way to get into the Power Query editor. So this is the connections, right? These are your data models. This will actually show you, okay, because actually it has done a bit of connections inside of your data, right? You're going to be connecting three of your data together. And you're going to be seeing how to merge two different data or three different data together using what we call a primary key. Inside of one, the primary key. Inside of another one is the secondary, is a foreign key. So we have different types of keys, primary keys, foreign keys, right? Two different types majorly. And when we are looking about a primary key is like a unique identifier inside of a data. So let's say, for example, this is a customer data, but it's not the reseller data. Remember, but we have the reseller key inside of the sales. Yeah, is this sales or customer? I think this is sales or let me see which one that I loaded. I'm not sure which one I loaded precisely, but okay, this is the sales data that I loaded. All right, inside of this place, this is the reseller key. The reseller key, this is not the reseller data. So this reseller key, for instance, is acting as what we call a foreign key inside of this place, right? Because the reseller key actually belongs to this data itself, which is what we call the reseller data. You can see the reseller data. The reseller inside of the reseller data, that key is the major identifier inside of it, right? So essentially, then when we look at customer data as well, right? Immediately I click on customer data, you see that we also have all these couple of things, right? What are the things that we have? We have the customer key. The customer key is the primary key here, and it's the primary identifier, right? So these things, the identifiers inside of each table are what we call either primary key or what we call foreign keys and other nice things like that, right? So that has been established. Now we need to get to Power Query. How do we get to Power Query? When you click on Get Data, when you get to the last option, right, you see query options, but then there's a third option that says Launch Power Query Editor. So you're going to be launching Power Query Editor, and you can see nice, cozy, looking great, right? Remember you mentioned that we want to combine two different data together. I want to combine the sales data together with the reseller data, right? I want to combine these two together. So what do I do next, right? This is the sales data, this is the reseller data. In fact, inside of this place, you can be changing the data types that you have. Please know it now. And inside of Excel, this is the exact same way it looks inside of Power BI. Know it now and know it forever. Because inside of Power BI, we'll also be doing this thing. All right, so if you want to change your sales order key here, you can leave it the way it is, right? And then this reseller key, this is the place where you transform your data basically. The reseller key, you can also leave it as number, it's a numerical data. This customer key is also numerical. This one is also numerical. This one due date key, right? Due date key, the other key. You can leave them the way they are, although they are like date columns, right? But you can leave them the way they are. Now, I always advise that when it comes to price, you use what? You use a currency data because it is currency, right? So what do? I do add new step, right? Because I don't want to mess with the old one. So you can see immediately change to currency. It automatically formatted itself, right? To be in the correct currency data. Extended amount is also a currency. So you can see what you can do with this Power Query. Power Query is extensive. Unit price, discount, PCT. This is a percentage data, right? So we just want to leave it probably the way it is. Then standard cost as well. You can change it to currency data. Can you see how you can do all these things inside of Power Query? Can you see how it makes life easier for you? Then cost as well is currency, right? Sales amount too is currency. So as you're doing that, it's automatically formatting your data for you, right? Then you can do the same thing to reseller data and make sure that everything is in the correct order that it's supposed to be. Now for this first row, I'm going to be cleaning it up because you can see that it's not applicable. This one is -1, not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. It simply means that it's empty rows, right? Sometimes empty rows don't come as empty rows, they come like this, but they are not valid data. What do? We need to drop off that row, right? So it's also one of the applicable things that we can do. So what do? Immediately we click on the row, we go to the top of our Power Query, then we click on remove rows, then we click on do what? Remove top rows. And then it will ask us, okay, we are removing top rows, right? How many top rows do we want to remove? And I'll tell it one because it's just the first top row. Then I'll click on OK. Immediately I click on OK, you can see that that one is gone, right? So make sure that everything is in the correct order, right? Postal code is also here. Make sure everything is in the correct order. Please don't miss anything out, right? I'll go to customer sales as well, right? And you can also see the not applicable is also here as well. So what do I do with it? I need to remove it. I need to get rid of this thing, right? Because it's becoming a major disturbance. So what do? I click on remove rows, right? And so if I want to remove rows, what do? I click on remove top rows since it's at the top. How many rows do I want to remove from the top? I'll click on one. Once I click on one, I'll click on OK. Once I click on OK, it has removed it, right? What else do I want to do also on the data again? I can just click on the entire data and keep looking at it. I want to remove duplicates, right? So you can see what I did to actually work on the entire data. You click on this top stuff at the top, like a small table appearing at the top. Then you do what? Remove duplicates. Once you remove duplicates, it will remove the duplicates in your data. I'm going to do the same thing for the reseller data. I'm going to click on what? Remove duplicates, right? I'm going to do the same thing for the sales data as well. And I'm going to click on it. I'm going to remove duplicates. Once I do that, it has removed all the duplicated data inside of my data. Now, remember I said I want to merge sales and reseller data, right? So how do I even do the merge? Maybe wondering, how can I even merge two data points together? So you can see from what I just did, I selected both of them. If you don't want to select both of them, and because on phone you will not be able to select both of them, just select one of the data first and click on merge queries. Remember I said I want to merge two data together. So if I click on merge queries, this is the first thing that is going to show me, right? Which is the sales table I clicked on or I selected. Now I'm going to click on the data that I want to merge it with. Which other data? That's the reseller data, right? So I now want to merge the sales and reseller. So what does that thing that could actually act like the joiner between them? And that's why the primary key and foreign key comes in. The primary key is that original key inside of the primary data, which is the original data. So here, the primary key is the reseller key. But inside of this place, right, is acting as a foreign key, which means that is also a way to join this table to this table. So this table is the one that owns it, and this table is just acting as a representative. Let me use that term inside of that table, right? So that's the distinction between a primary key and a foreign key, right? So essentially now I want to merge the two queries. You can see I've already selected the data that I want to merge it with. I've already selected reseller, right? So here I select the key that I want it to use it to merge. I select the first key inside of reseller key because that's the thing that is unique to both of them is the reseller key. you have to join or merge queries with the key that is common to both of them, right? So what do I do? There are different types of join that are available here. So what do? I can do left outer, all from first, matching from the second, which means that it will pick all the rows from the first table, which is the sales table, that matches with the second, which means that it will not care about if it's dropping rows from the second one. It will just pick all the rows in the first data, and they will look at, okay, where are these keys actually applicable in the second data. It will only pick out those rows in the second data while neglecting all the other rows. That's what the left outer means. The right outer means it will pick all the rows from the second table, which in our case scenario is the reseller data, and then it will only pick the ones that match it from the first, which means if you look at, oh, reseller key is 1, 2, 3, 4. Is reseller key 1, 2, 3, 4 present in sales? No, it's not present. So it will only pick only the ones that, let's say for example, reseller key 1, 2, 3, 4 is present inside of this place, but we only have reseller key 1, 2, 3 inside of sales. If you're doing a left outer, it will pick all the 1, 2, 3, 4 here, right? But we only pick the applicable rows. Let's say this one only has 1, 2. Do not pick that 1, 2 and use it to join and neglect every other rows in this second table. That's the left outer. The right outer means that it will take more consideration for the second data than the first data, which means that to pick all the available rows inside of the second data, but we only use, because remember we are joining the two tables with reseller key, so it will only use those places where the rows are present inside of the first data and use it to join both of them together, and we will leave the rest of the rows inside of the first data. That's right outer. From full outer, it does not care. It just brings all the rows together, whether they are merging each other or they are not connecting with each other, whether they have similar rows or not, whether all the reseller keys inside of table A is present or not present in table B. It's going to pick all the rows together and merge them together. Then inner only picks the matching rows between both of them. Then left anti picks only rows only in first. Right anti picks rows only in second. So what I like using most of the times, not for us to have missing data, is either I use a full outer or an inner outer. But if I say that, okay, my first table is more important, what am I going to use? I'm going to use a left outer. What if my second table is more important? I'm going to use a right outer. But in this case, I want only matching rows from both of the data. So that's why I'm going to use inner. So immediately I click on inner, right? It will keep estimating matches based on the data previews, right? It will estimate the matches that are between them. When I click on OK, to create a new table entirely, right? So it's processing already. Let's wait for it to get done. Oh, except it didn't actually specify for you to create a new table. You might be using the sales table to do that. Most of the times it's not advisable for you to exactly, I didn't specify for you to create a new one. So let me check this. All right, so um, let me undo this and redo it inside of a different place. So you can see it has merged them together, but this is not what I want to be looking at. Right, it merged my queries, but I want it to be merged inside of. I'm going to do what? I'm going to delete until end. If you want to delete a step, you can delete it directly until the end. I'm going to click on delete. I don't want it to merge my queries inside of this table. So I select the table, right? And I select on merge queries and see what I'm selecting here. Remember, I didn't select merge queries as new here before, right? So that's just how to go about it. Don't merge queries inside an existing table. It won't work well. So click on merge queries as new. And click on merge queries as new, right? It will ask you for the first table and then ask for the second table, the seller table. So I'll be clicking my keys again. I'll be doing an inner join. Remember, we are working with an inner join. Immediately I click on OK, it will create it as a new query entirely. So you can already see created it and called it merge one. So I'm going to be renaming this merge one to call it sales reseller table. Right. So I've shown you to do different things. All these things that I'm showing you are the things that are inside of our lecture notes on how to join queries, right? I've shown you how to change data types inside of Power Query Editor. I've shown you how to do those things as well. I will show you how to filter queries. I'm going to be rename this query, right? So when you right click on it, you'll be able to see rename and then you call it sales reseller sales reseller table and sales reseller table. So once you do that, your table, you can see the entire table. It has merged 1 and 2 together only in the places that are applicable, right? And you can actually see from our text note, right, or from our notes for today's class, right? Because I said we are doing Power Query Editor. I've shown you how to remove duplicates. I've shown you how to change data types. And then how do we split columns? We'll soon see it. I've shown you how to merge queries, right? How do we filter data? Or how do we remove unwanted data, right? So now, the thing is still loading, so I'm waiting for it to load. I'm going to split a column into two. Let me see if there's a customer's name there, or let me use customer table as example. Yes, so I'm going to use this customer table as example. The names of customers, right? I'm going to be showing you how to split this. So I'll be splitting this into two different columns, right? So how do I split a customer's name? I want to have first name, last name. So essentially, when you click on it, you'll be able to see all the customers that are there, names of all your customers that are present. It allows you to do easy filtering, right? So you can filter data directly from the column itself. But now, what I want to do is to split this column. So I'm going to select on it. When I select on it, I will see an option to split by, right? So when I click on split by, you see by delimiter, by number of characters, by positions, by unit, uppercase or lowercase, depending on which one you have in the data. For this time around, I'm going to be using by delimiter. Now you may be asking, what are delimiters? Delimiters are actually things that are separating data. Remember I said you have CSV data. A CSV data is delimited by what? It's delimited by a comma. So that's why it's called CSV, comma separated values, right? We have a TSV as well. We have TSV. A TSV data is separated by tabs. So that's why we call the delimiter there a tab. But in this place, if you are saying by delimiter, our table, our column, customer row is delimited by space, which means that's what's separating one word from another word, right? So I'm going to click down on it again. I'm going to click on split by, and I'm going to be selecting delimiter. So immediately I select delimiter, it will open or pop up another window, right? Once it pops up another window, let's see. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So we are waiting for it to get loaded. It shouldn't take as much time as this, but let's wait for it to get loaded. So once it gets loaded, it will ask us a series of questions. What do we want to split by? We have already selected split by delimiter. I don't know why it's taking this long. It's not supposed to be taking this long, but if we don't allow it to process, it's not going to allow us to have rest. So it's just better we wait on it and allow it to process, essentially. All right, so while that is trying to get processed, or while that is trying to get loaded up, we can't move it away from there. So that's the problem. And if we move it away, it will not have our data saved. We still have to wait for it to load up a bit. All right, but that aside, right? So we've learned how to do all these things. You can also filter data already, right? And then I want us to also see how we can reshape data and pivot it, right? If I want to filter out sales where sales column is less than 1,000, I can also do that, right? But we'll also see how to do that. And I've also written a step-by-step process on how you can get to Power Query Editor here. You have it here, and then you will definitely have an assignment using your Power Query Editor, right? Before we now go into advanced functions next week. But yeah, I'll get load up now. It's taking much of our time. Load up. Oh. Sometimes it can take a while if your data can be quite FT or XT. So let me close one. It's not hear anything until it just processes. One cocoa. Yeah, that's exactly it. I was gotten angst there. So essentially, I was trying to show us how to split a column, but let's hope this works and we'll be able to get it. But essentially, that's how to use a Power Query editor to merge, right? If you don't want to merge two queries, you can append two queries to each other. You may be asking, what's the difference between merging two queries and appending a query? Appending a query is just like joining one data to another data, side by side or bottom by bottom, right? That's what we call appending queries. But most of the times, it should definitely go to the bottom of your data, right? So you append two queries together. I want to show us an example of how to do that too. But Excel seems to be releasing us here, and I don't know how long it will take for it to load. But so far, right, I want to ask, do we have any questions at all? So far, any questions? Mr. Kazim, Covenant, any questions at all so far?
No, ma.
All right, Mr. Kazim, any question at all? Hello? Okay, I don't know if Mr. Kazim can hear us, but I hope he can hear us. All right, so that's about that. I can't keep waiting for this one to actually come up. It might take a
I
bit
can
of
hear you.
time. Oh, okay. Thank you. It might take a bit of time, but after it's loaded, what you just do is select the limiter. I will still show us next week, right? I want to make sure that I'm ending the class now. I don't want us to go beyond this time that we currently are now. So essentially, based on everything that I've taught us today again, both the visualization, I'll be giving us assignment based on that, right? And I'll be sending our class notes to us as well so that we can use it as a guide on doing that. So we have come to the end of Power Query Editor, right? How to combine tables. So essentially what will happen is that after the table has been combined, right, we have additional, you have an additional query. You have seen the additional query already, the sales reseller table. But when we are done, what do we do? Before we close and load, we have to make sure that we save it, right? So you come here to this close and load and click on save. Immediately you click on save, you can now close your Power Query editor and go back to your normal Excel environment, essentially. Right? So we can now start working with the data that we've transformed and the data that we've cleaned. So, oh, yeah, that will bring me to the end of our class for today. So I'll be sending our assignment as well, right? I'll be sending our assignment. Thank you very much for assigning and for being in class
Can I
today.
ask a question?
Yes, Mr. Kazim, you can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, please. I don't know the work you just did now. That's the data you just used. I don't know if you can
Yes,
share it with us so that we can as well practice it before we launch into
most
assignment.
definitely. Most
Okay,
definitely. I will
thank you
send
so
it.
much.
Yeah, I'm sending it as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. And of
What
course, as
about
usual,
our recorded class?
Covenant, what did you say?
Our recorded class, will you send the link
Of
for it?
course, I will send you the YouTube link just like I did the other time. So
Okay.
it's for easy accessibility. I don't want you to keep downloading it. You can just watch it directly on YouTube or download it from YouTube as well. So either
Okay.
ways.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if it will be easier. Like for example, if you send it on a Google file, then we
Mhm.
download it. It will now be in our system. We don't need to use data to watch it. You know, if it's on YouTube, anytime I want to watch it and rewatch it, I have to be using data. I don't know if you can make it
Oh,
economical for us by.
yeah, giving you access to it. That's no problem at all. If you want me to upload
Okay.
it in the Google file, I can upload it there as well so I can
Yeah,
download and but there's also a
yeah.
way you can download and watch on YouTube, but I'll just make it easier for you by putting it on a file that you can use.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for being in class today once again. I
Thank you
will
so
see
much. I truly appreciate
you.
you.
Welcome. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. See you in the next class.
Okay, ma.